A couple of weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be invited to the EAFC 24 closed beta. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show any gameplay footage on YouTube, so instead here's 5 new features I noticed during my time with the game. First of all, the visuals. I've got to say, for me this is the best that FIFA, or now EAFC, has looked in years. The menus have been given a full overhaul, so it's not just the usual reskin or recolouring of the usual block sort of tile look that we're used to. It's a completely different menu. It somehow looks kind of retro and modern. There's almost a PS2 feel to it, but it really works, and it's just a nice change. Atop that, we've got improved graphics, and for current gen consoles, there's more than 1,000 new animations. The lighting has improved, the way that the kits look have improved, the crowd is much better. There's a lot more unique models within the crowd, which make it feel more realistic and unique. Players do things that they've never done before, so you might have seen videos of players actually running into the advertising boards. The new animations mean that they control the ball in different ways. It's quite similar to FIFA 21, the first version of the game to be on current gen consoles, and that real leap that we saw with the animations. There's also lots of other new things too, like sometimes when players are booked for fouls, we now get a first person cam of the ref's perspective, so you see players contesting their cards. At half time on the pause menu, you actually see the game continue, so you see teams in the changing room. If you're losing, they'll look a bit frustrated. You'll see coaches talking through tactics. You'll even see the commentators now as well. I noticed from one kickoff, it actually brought up a visual that showed how many shots have been taken and where the shots have been taken on goal, which is quite a nice touch. These are all cosmetics, but it makes the game feel a lot more fresh, a lot more modern, and I'm quite excited by these little subtle changes. Secondly, pace isn't everything. So in the games that I've played, I've noticed that the feel and the tempo of the game is much slower than FIFA 23. Now that's not because I'm used to playing with OP players on Ultimate Team. I didn't really play Ultimate Team for the last 6 months on FIFA 23. The overall speed of the game is slower. Quicker players don't seem to pull away quite as much as they would in 23, and I found players to be especially slow off of the ball. But slow isn't bad, I've actually quite liked it. The game feels a lot more realistic. I found in the games I played, I was much more reliant on quick passes and triangles to unlock teams. I couldn't just put a good through ball to a pacey player and score. I think this is going to open up a lot more different ways to play. I'm just hoping this doesn't change after the first patch when people inevitably complain that they think it's too slow. The new play styles that EA have introduced for this game actually do seem to make a difference, and I think they're going to be pretty integral to the way that you play. Now, I was quite skeptical when I first saw this announced, and I wasn't sure whether these icons that represent different play styles and different attributes for each player were just going to be kind of a visual representation of attributes that they already had in previous versions. And it took me a couple of sessions to really understand them and appreciate their impact, but once I noticed them, I really noticed them. Essentially what we have now is some generic players won't have a playstyle at all. Some really good players will have an individual playstyle, so a certain attribute that will make them excel in particular things. So for example, when playing as Bernardo Silva, he dribbles better with the ball and controls the ball better. Rodri seems to have sort of a magnet playstyle, which essentially means that he's more likely to win the ball in those 50-50 challenges. And this makes up for the lack of pace that he has, which is quite accurate to him in real life. The top players also have playstyles plus, which means they have the creme de la creme of playstyle. For someone like Erling Haaland, he has power finishing plus, which means when you do the L1, R1 shoot, the sort of precision, powerful shot, he's going to be even more powerful. I think this is going to be really key to building teams in Ultimate Team. If you manage to have a really good balance of playstyles in the teams that you're putting together, that is going to give you the edge. And equally, we could see players that don't necessarily have good shooting or passing become really viable options because they have other attributes which are going to help you elsewhere on the pitch. Whilst the core gameplay is the same, EA have introduced a host of new tricks for you to use. Firstly, we have the addition of a few new skill moves, things like skill rainbow, flare nutmegs, drag back. But EA have also changed the way that certain inputs work. So for example, the use of R1, which is normally a sort of driven ball, has completely changed in EA 24. Pressing R1 and square actually brings up a sort of circle target, which you can use to play balls that don't exactly lock onto players. You can put a ball slightly in front of them to play onto. We've also seen the introduction of swerved precision passing, so if you press L1 and R1 and triangle, you can do a curved, grounded through ball, which I think if you get these right are going to be absolutely killer. The last thing I wanted to talk about is that most game modes have been refined and slickened. I did find that playing Ultimate Team, the sort of core of this mode is still there, but there have been little quality of life improvements. So things like a claim all button for rewards, which is an absolute game changer. Obviously we've seen the integration of women's players into Ultimate Team now, but ultimately the core mechanics of that game mode is still there. The same goes for career mode, but there are little additions which should help to just keep it at that that bit fresh. So I noticed that you could buy certain possessions for your player's home. Not that you see them, it's just sort of a menu that you use, but it'll improve certain attributes of your player. You could also make certain decisions, whether to turn up to training and greet players at your new club or to go off and do something else. And the same applies for things like pro clubs too. The play styles that we talked about earlier are all present in this mode now. The menu that you use to apply your skill points has changed a little bit different, but the core of it is still pretty similar. Hopefully there should be a nice balance of familiarity, but also things to keep these modes fresh. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick video. I'm going to be doing a load of EAFC 24 content when the game comes out, so if you want to see more from me, then please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!